All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the War Room. I'm with Ainsworth, and we are going into the second engagement scenario of the Pacific War called Savo Island. It is August 8th through the 9th of 1942. Ainsworth, have you ever heard of Savo Island, the Battle of Savo Island?
No.
Okay.
Could you enlighten me?
Yes. So basically, on that date, um, the U.S. forces are already invaded Guadalcanal, which is, if you're interested and you want to look at the map, it's square 1134. Okay, I have it on my map right now showing, or on my screen showing, and basically the U.S. forces had already invaded Guadalcanal for a particular airbase called, or airport called Henderson Field. They named it Henderson after a Marine that died during the invasion. And this was a very strategic location that would cut off supplies to the U.S. had the Japanese taken it. And so basically, the Japanese were in the middle of this construction of this airport. The Marines jumped in, they stopped it, they took it. However, the night of August the 8th, the Japanese, they show up with the 8th Fleet by Admiral Murakawa, and basically came in and caught the U.S. Navy completely off guard. They weren't ready for it. One of the things the Japanese had at the beginning of the war that the U.S. didn't have: great optics, extensive training in night operations. So when it
Mm,
came down to it, the U.S. just couldn't fight at night, which was a common thing for many years, even during World War One and beyond that. You wouldn't see a lot of fighting. Did it happen at night? Sure, but it was an even keel because nobody had night optics, nobody had extensive training. So the Japanese kind of had their shit together when this happened. So we're going to be playing that particular engagement. So we're not even,
ooh, interesting.
yeah, we're not even using the map though. So what I want you to do is, let me pull over my display here. We are going to be using the Japanese display. Is it
Yeah, it's
is
already up.
the Japanese display, and we're going to be using the operation display. That's going to be the main force, okay? That's the one that's next to that little clock,
Yep, it's already up too.
okay? So if you notice, it's already set to night as far as the lighting conditions go,
Yep.
and that's all you're going to do with that. You're not going to see that anymore. Um, so going back to the Japanese, whoop, cancel. I don't want to do that. Going back to the Japanese display, we're going to look at the phases. In the first scenario, we learned about a little bit about lighting. We didn't really play with it. I'm moving the piece around. Can you see me moving the piece around?
Yep.
Okay. We're going to be using the Naval Combat cycle, which is right here. And according to this particular scenario, Mark Herman states that this is going to be the determination is that the Japanese have a surprise. And there's only one cycle of Naval Combat 1, Naval Combat 2, Naval Combat 3, and then the game ends. Okay? So this is a very quick scenario. All right? The Japanese have achieved surprise for the naval combat, so we'll begin the combat phase at Naval Combat 1. All right? Only the Japanese can bid to withdraw. The scenario ends after Naval Combat 3. The lighting conditions are night, and historically this naval action occurred in Hex 1134. But the maps are not used in this scenario. Instead, use the naval combat portion of the operations display. Your victory conditions is you have to score, and if we go back to the operations display, you have to score 4 hits on the amphibious assault ship. Okay.
So these would be AA-13, AA-1, DD-11.
No, no,
No, no.
just AA1. That's the only
Oh, yeah,
ship
just
that you have to.
AA-1.
And I'll
Okay.
explain how this process goes because you're not going to have access to that ship right away. Okay. But before we start anything else, what I want you to do is cancel. I don't want to lose the game. For some reason, I keep wanting to shut off the game on us. If you look at
Is this only this naval combat display? It's only used for this scenario, or is it
correct,
used? Oh, okay.
Oh no, well it's used throughout the entire game. Like this, if you played a full campaign of this game, which is ridiculous, but if you played a full campaign, you'd be using this map all the time. The operation display is where you put all your ships in to determine what happens. And I'll explain the little rules here. But if we look at the map at 1134, you're going to notice that the water around it is gray. All right, it's like a grayish color. So if we back out, all right, and we go all the way to the terrain key, which is all the way in the upper left-hand corner of the map, it is restricted waters. Okay, that's where it says, okay, good. So you see that. All right, so if we go back to the operations display, all right, which I do have now. Here we go. Okay. You will notice there's a chart called Range Determination Table, which is right above, right next to Japanese Surprise.
Yeah.
Yep. It is restricted.
That's 25.
And it's night, so we have to do short range. So I'm going to move the long range tokens off. You see where it says Allied Range Bid and Japanese Range Bid?
Yep.
Okay. So those will go away, and it'll be short range. Okay. So now, what I want you to do is I want you to go to your Japanese ships and hover over them and right-click on one of them. And what I want you to do is hit the gunnery segment. There should be like, yep, perfect. Do it to all of them, please.
Okay.
Nice.
Actually.
All right, perfect. Now I'm going to do the same for all of mine. Okay, you should be able to see all of mine. As you can see, the amphibious has nothing, just X's. All right. Some of your ships have some damage, like the Takao. All right. And so does my ships, obviously. All right. Now, let's go ahead and discuss the numbers that we're seeing here. So, if you look at the Aoba, which is CA2, all right, it has a, yep, thank you. We have two things we're going to look at. The bottom numbers, which is 3-1-0, and then the middle number where it says T2-1. Do you see the T2 and -1? Like, it's kind of tiny.
Yeah, underneath one.
Yeah, yep. So the 3 and the 1, the 0 is your gunnery value. These are your guns on your ship. From left to right, the 3 is short range, the 1 is medium range, and 0 is long range. Okay. Now, the 0 doesn't mean you can't hit. It just means you have to roll a 0. That's the only way you can hit. Okay. The T2 is torpedoes. Okay. The first number, again, from left to right, is short range and then medium range. Now, I have not seen any units that have a long range torpedo attack. They may have them in this game. I just haven't seen them yet. Okay. And that's your torpedo.
Doesn't the Takao have one?
The Takao does have a torpedo. Yep. Yeah, so even though, if you see the Takao has a T4 and a T2, okay? However, we know that with those hits, it's going to be reduced by 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but again, even if your hits mean 0 here, like if you look at the Benson, over here, the DD-11 on my side, even though it's been hit many times, it's all zeros, I can still hit on a 0. Okay? It's much worse odds, but at least he can strike. All right?
Okay.
All right. So now we're going to set up for the attack. So the first thing we have to do is since this is a Japanese surprise, the first 2 naval combat sections, I don't get to fire in at all. You get the free lunch. All right?
Okay, so Naval 1 and Naval 2.
Yep. So you'll get the attack both times. Let me go ahead and get you your tokens that you need. All right. Unit markers. There we go. Torpedoes. You'll need 1 for him. Technically you have 2. The 1, and then you flip the marker, it's a 0. So you'll get 2 torpedoes. The U.S. is only going to get 1. So what I'll do is I have a torpedo here. I will flip him to be a 0, basically. Okay. Let's see. The Kent also has a torpedo. I'll flip him. And that's technically how you use the torpedo markers. The 1 represents 2. 0 represents 1, basically. The Benson does have a torpedo, although how shitty. This guy here. Okay. All right. So the way this works is in the first naval combat, we can only bring in 4 naval units on the board. Since you already have 4 naval units on the board, you get to keep them right where they're at. They're all going to be on this display. Me, I'm going to take, and I'm only putting them in the withdrawal. They're not being withdrawn. I'm just putting them off to the side. So I'm going to take all my damaged guys. And whoops. I'll take my damaged guys. Take them off the board. Let's see here. I want to give you the best guys.
Yeah, bring it.
Yep, let's bring it. Okay. So in the first naval phase, only the first 4 can be brought in. In the second naval phase, then 4 more gets brought in. Then in the third and final phase, everything gets brought in. So basically, this is like the passing of the ships getting closer to one another.
Okay.
Okay? That's what it's supposed to represent. All right. So, do you remember how we do hits in this game? Remember the chart?
First, I designate targets, right?
True. Okay, so let me go over that really quickly. So there is a process to that as well. So you can hit, kind of like the airplanes, you can kind of hit and designate several targets. However, if you're going to use your torpedoes, you can only designate 1 target with your gunnery at the same time. So, for example, if you have the Aoba here and she wants to hit the New Orleans with a torpedo, she's going to have to aim her attack at the New Orleans along with the torpedo. So it's got to be all or nothing. You can't split between the two. Okay.
Okay. But I have 2 uses for each of my ships, right?
What's that?
Because I have 2 torpedoes in each of my ships.
You use 1 at a time. So you fire 1 torpedo.
Yeah, but I have 2 uses, yeah.
Yeah. So so go ahead, since I can't fire, go ahead and designate whoever. I'll keep them in a line, and you can just put whoever you want on whatever. I don't know if you can.
Looking at the statistics.
Here, I will.
So
my
the
torpedoes.
what's the current distance? Is it
short
medium,
range?
right?
It's short.
Oh no, it's short range because it's restricted waters.
And it's nighttime.
Nighttime.
Beautiful.
Okay. So all of them are gonna be zeros regardless. But I have the 5 from the from the torpedo.
No, the torpedo rule, it was only for the first scenario. That was a special rule.
Oh,
yep.
okay.
So
what does the torpedo do in this context?
So if you pop up, let's see, let me get that. If you pop open your chart menu, that's the little paper next to your die, game charts, and you go to Air Naval Combat. Okay. If you scroll down, there's Air Combat Flak, there's Torpedo Combat. It's submarine or naval versus naval, and so that's what you get. Yep. It's just an extra shot against that person.
As opposed to naval gunnery combat, which is, I guess,
Correct.
For you, you're just gonna do the short range versus naval.
Correct. Well, for you too. This is for you as well.
If I don't use my torpedoes.
Well, no. You could use them both. If you use both, they have to be in 1 target. You can't split them. You can't hit the New Orleans with your guns and the Northampton with your torpedo.
Oh, so it's 2 separate attacks by 1 ship.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
But the attacks have to be on the same target.
Okay.
So you get to decide, and I figure the way you can do it is if you just push your unit to whatever units you want to attack. Like, for example, if you want the Fruit Taco, if he wants to attack the Ken, just put him like that. So you go ahead and take your time.
Is there a way that I can arrange the token so that the ship is above the torpedo?
Yeah, I think there is. You just have to put the ship on top of the torpedo.
Manually? Okay.
Yeah, manually.
Okay. Just split them like this.
Yep. And what I normally do, even on the real game, I just put them next to them to the left, so I know I have a torpedo here.
Same. What is it keeps scrolling to the other side whenever I...
Oh, probably because I'm clicking on my guys. I'll stop clicking on my guys.
Okay.
It happens because we're sharing a screen, basically. We're sharing the game.
Because you're there refereeing.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'm seeing here is that you have torpedoes. So what I would want to prioritize is probably your ships that have torpedoes. Because they're probably the ones that can deal the most damage.
Yep.
So how many steps does a ship have?
They don't. They
Is it
all.
still
It's
six?
six. It's six. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm gonna bring out my best
And
since
just remember, so just I
yeah.
cover all the victory conditions. You have to get 4 points of damage on the amphibious, which will be coming out in the next round.
Yep.
You cannot lose more than one ship.
Oh.
It's very
Okay.
hard to do. It's very hard to do, but I mean, can it be happen? Yeah, I've done it where I've lost a ship. But yeah, your objective is to get 4 on the amphibious, and don't lose more than one ship.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna assign Iowa my CA2
Okay.
against Kent,
Okay.
your CA1, and then supported by Takao, CA5, and then for DD7, Cranio and Kato.
Okay. So we're gonna be okay. Very good. All right. So let me just double check your display. Yep, we're in the first combat phase. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is pull out your little screen, your little chart, air naval
Mm-hmm.
combat chart.
Yep.
All right, and whoever you're going to fire first, name them, and I'm assuming you're putting the torpedoes into them as well.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
so let's start with Aoba. So it's a 3. That's the modified strength. Okay, because it's short
Yeah.
ranged. We'll
Mm-hmm.
start with the gunnery first.
Oh, it's a 9
Let me
for the
roll this.
first.
Okay, 9. So obviously not very good. All right, you rolled a 1 for your torpedo.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll flip the torpedo. So now you have zeros. You have 1 more. So the 1, if we go down torpedo combat, it's a. You look at the number of your torpedo, which is a 2
Mm-hmm.
and 1. So you follow the yellow all the way down, and it's a 1 hit. So we'll give Kent 1 hit. Okay, I reduced your torpedo. So now let's go to the Takao. So he is a 5 minus 3, which is 2. So go ahead.
Ooh.
We got another 1, very good. So it's 2 and 1. So that's going to be short range naval. So it's a 1. So another hit.
Then the further torpedo.
And for the
6.
torpedo, 6. That's not going to do anything.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll flip it. Let's start with Tenru. So Tenru is a 1, only a 1.
Yep.
So that's going to be a 1 hit. Yep.
Exactly what I needed.
And then go ahead and do your torpedo. 6. It's not going to work. So then that'll be, I reduced it. So then your for a taco is going to be a 3.
Yep.
Nice.
Ooh.
Roll again for your crit.
Yep.
Roll high.
Ooh, 3.
Nothing.
Oh man, that's not.
Yeah, go above a 5. Yeah, but that's okay. But you
Yeah.
did 0. So it's 3 and 0, which is nice. And that's going to be a short range naval. That's 2 hits. Okay.
Yep. And then
more.
for the torpedo.
Yep. What we got?
Ooh.
Another 0. Roll again.
Yeah.
Beautiful. 6.
Ooh,
Nice.
there we go.
So 1 additional hit.
hit.
So you rolled a 0 for your torpedo, which is Mark 2. So we'll follow it down, 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 which is 2 plus 1 is 3. So Bagley will be destroyed.
Yes.
So let me get Bagley out of here. We'll just put him off to the side here, bring his torpedo with him. Okay. All right. That is your first round of naval combat. Okay, so you still have the surprise because that's what was determined. So now if we go to Japanese display, we will move it to naval combat number 2. Very good. It's the same thing. Now I get to move in the rest of these guys. The most important one is the amphibious shipping, which I'll keep in the back, but that's okay. You can still attack them. All right.
Oh, so only during the onset can you, or is it determined by the scenario?
What's that now?
That the number of ships you need to put out is just 4.
It's 4. Yeah, I believe it's the rule because that's the rule I read in the actual rule book. So, yes, it's 4, and then everything else comes in.
Okay.
Yeah, it's supposed to just be like the screening ships, and then, like the ships that are, like DDs were meant for screening, so they'd be the outside ships usually coming in to defend. So
your amphibious also has 6 steps, right?
Well, I'm sorry?
Your amphibious has 6 steps.
It has 6, but you need 4 to win.
Oh, I just need.
That's it. So in this round, you're going to be able to attack, and then in the third round, I can
I have to
hit back.
survive.
Yep, you have to survive.
Yeah.
So I would suggest you put what you can into the amphibious, just to make
Yeah.
sure you get your points.
Yeah.
So you want to start with the. Do you want to assign all of them to the amphibious?
I would still have one more round, right? After
Correct. Yes.
this.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna assign 2 on the amphibious.
All right.
Tenryu and my lucky for taco
Okay.
and um my Taka will go against your Benson,
Okay.
and then I'll keep a Yoba and Ken.
And Kent. Okay, let me just move these guys out of the way. All right, let's start with Aoba. So go ahead and do your roll. You got one last torpedo.
Yep.
5. So not going to be enough for the gunnery, but go ahead for the torpedo.
Not enough.
That's okay. We'll delete it. All right. Next is the Tenru and the Furutako. Let's do the Tenru first. It's going to be against the amphibious. Not much. And then your torpedo.
Ooh.
Ah.
Barrels.
That's okay. That's okay. Furutako, you have a 3.
Ooh,
Nice.
nice.
So it's going to be 1. It's going to go all the way down to the
Gunnery.
short range, which is 1. So you got 1 hit so far. Very good. And then you also have your torpedo.
Torpedo?
Good luck.
Nothing.
All right.
Oh, no.
Now you got the Tikal versus the Benson. So it's a 2.
Yep. Okay.
Nope. And then you're going to have the torpedo. Which is, nope.
Okay.
Bad luck so far. All right. So
Yep.
delete. All right. So that was the final, or that was the second naval combat. So we go to the Japanese display, and we push it over to Naval 3, and this will be the final one. Now you get to go first, but I also get to fire, and these are simultaneous hits.
So,
go ahead.
Oh, these are simultaneous hits.
Now, yes. So whatever damage you cause will not change my values. Okay, not until because they're flying through the air. Basically.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
Go ahead and assign whatever you wish to assign. I'll let you start, since you have the. Yeah. Okay. Good choice. Good choice. All right. I'm going to take the Kent. Let's see here. New Orleans versus the Tikal. Let's do the Northampton versus Tikal. No, let's do Aoba.
I could probably just lay them out because I only have 1 target.
That's okay. You lay them out however you want.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah. All right. So I'm gonna do Tikal, and then just go for Aoba and Aoba and Aoba. All right. So we'll start with you first for the amphibious. So hold on, let me pull up the paperwork. Okay. And who are you starting with? Aoba, I'm assuming?
Aoba.
3?
Top down.
Okay.
Yep.
3
Ooh,
and 3.
Nice.
That's going to be 1 point of damage. So far, so good. All right. You don't have any more torpedoes, so she's done. The Tenru is a 1.
Come on.
Nope. The Furutaku is a 3. Nice.
Ooh.
So it's 2, and that's going to be a short range, which is a 1. Okay. And you just need 1 more. You need a Tikal, and that's a 2.
Come on.
So you've definitely failed the mission, but that's okay. We're going to keep going and let the U.S. take their stabs at you. All right. So we're going to do Northampton, which is going to be a 5 versus the Aoba. So I will roll. That's a 1.
Ooh.
That's going to be 1 down here. 2 short. That's 2. If you want to give yourself 2 hits, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
It's Control J, right?
Control.
No, it's Control open bracket.
Close bracket.
Close bracket.
Yep, very good. All right. The Atlanta is a 0. I have to hit a 0. Nope. The Kent is a 3. Nope. Torpedo is 0. Nope. delete. All right, and then we'll do the New Orleans versus the Takao. Looks like
This guy's gonna sink.
he's gonna sink, but you know,
Already lost.
you already lost, but that's okay. We're gonna go through it. So he did 3 and a 5, so that's gonna be short range of 1. So he's gonna have 1 on the Takao. Then the Perth is gonna be a 0 for the gunnery. Nothing. The 0 for the torpedo. It hits.
Ooh.
And it hits a 0 again, which is nothing. So 0 and 0 is going to be for torpedo 1 hit. And I'll get
One
rid
more
of
step.
That's it. And then the Benson's a 0 for the gunnery. Nothing. And it's a 0 for the torpedo. Nothing. Okay. So
it's fine.
that is it. That was the entire. That I told you that was a quick one.
Yeah.
But this is the basics of naval gunnery in this game, especially when you have surprise. It gives you a much more better chance at.
How would you gain the surprise in the first place?
We haven't gotten that far. I'm still learning the game. There's a determination. So if we go through the Japanese display, all right, there is the advantage determination phase. So after lighting, this is where you find out who's got surprise or who doesn't, and then you go on through
Okay, so
there.
the air surprise carries over to the naval
Yes.
combat.
Basically, the battle cycle is so. If we're only looking at the bottom one for engagement, this is the entire from lighting all the way to day marker adjustment.
Oh, I'm
the way
excited
through.
to see the scenario wherein we can implement each of these phases.
So if you look at strategic, which is the top one, you're doing weather, strategic intelligence, bombing, escort.
I think that's more like the campaign, right?
Correct.
Those are the campaign games.
Oh no, this isn't even the campaign. I believe campaign is the C, which is doesn't even have the full. What you can do is, from what I understand, and I could be wrong if there's other people listening in, and they can comment, is there is campaign scenarios, but you could just play a campaign. Like literally, you can start the game off at like 1942, December 7th, 1941, and then go from there. Kind of like Empire of the Sun, and it's just open play, and you just go from there. So, and that's your longest like open free play, which is ridiculous, I think, for a game so big like this. But yeah, no, this was Savo Island. What did you think? Be honest.
It's a different. It felt different from the air combat.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like it's harder to hit with ships than it is with air units.
And I'm glad you said that.
It was pretty fun having that sort of dynamic, especially, for example, if in a certain area you know that you have air superiority, maybe you'd want to concentrate on like taking out ships so that it's going to be easier for your ships. It introduces these strategies, which I'm already seeing in my mind.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because that was the intent. Because in reality, think about it. A boat on the water that's bobbing up and down, listing left to right, is trying to fire a gun in the nighttime, in the fog, in the weather, against another bobbing object. So that's not easy, and this game makes it hard on that purpose, whereas for airplanes it's different, obviously. You have one person making all the decisions in his head versus a crew of people trying to coordinate an attack. So
there's a bit of lag there too.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's a natural lag that comes from it, and I like how this game kind of portrays that. It portrays that. It makes it like, okay, it's a naval fight, but you're not guaranteed anything. So
it's. I think despite the dice roll, the randomness, however, the strategy you actually put into play, actually really matters. I feel like.
Yeah. No, I concur. I concur. I like that. And it makes sense now because. Also, too, because in the real Pacific War, it was basically an air war. Yeah, there was naval units, but it was all about carriers. Why? Because obviously it was easier to strike with planes than it was for naval engagements. So, no, I have to agree. I think this it's very thematic. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and shut off the recording now. And if anybody has any questions, comments, or concerns, please go ahead and put it in the comment section. All right, thanks, Ainsworth.
Yeah, no worries.